always believed I had a good life, a loving wife, 2 wonderful daughters, and a home filled with warmth and laughter. But in the end, it was all an illusion, a carefully orchestrated lie that unraveled before my eyes. At first, it was just little things. Lisa, my wife, had grown distant over the past few months, always blaming it on stress from work. My daughters, Jenna and Brooke, both in their early 20s, had become secretive, exchanging glances and falling silent whenever I entered the room. I ignored it, convincing myself I was imagining things, until the truth came crashing down, shattering everything I thought I knew. One evening, while Lisa was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I wasn't the type to snoop, but something in my gut twisted when I saw the name on the screen. Patrick. Her boss. I hesitated before picking it up, but the moment I saw the messages, my blood turned ice cold. Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again. Love you too, baby. Let's talk later when he's asleep. I scrolled further, my hands trembling, my stomach knotting with every word. And then there were the photos, images no husband should ever have to see. A wave of nausea hit me. My ears rang. My vision blurred, but through it all, one thing remained crystal clear. My wife, the woman I had built a life with, had betrayed me. That night, I confronted her. She didn't deny it. She didn't even look ashamed. You're overreacting, she said, arms crossed, voice laced with irritation. It's been going on for a year. It's not like I was ever going to leave you. You provide stability. Patrick is just fun. Fun. The word sliced through me, sharper than any knife. But what truly broke me wasn't just her affair. It was what came next. Jenna and Brooke, my daughters, my blood, stood beside her, not in anger or disappointment, but in defense. Come on, Dad, Brooke said, rolling her eyes. Mom's happy. Why ruin everything over one mistake? One mistake. I echoed, barely recognizing my own voice. We knew, Jenna admitted, shifting uncomfortably. But it wasn't a big deal. It's not like you were ever supposed to find out. They had known. They had lied to me. They had covered for her. A sick, twisted family secret, hidden right under my nose. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my chest hollow, my mind a battlefield of emotions, rage, grief, disbelief. My wife had betrayed me, but my daughters, they had chosen her. They had looked me in the eyes and decided that my pain was insignificant, that my role in this family was merely one of convenience. And that was when I made my decision. Lisa expected a fight. She thought I'd grovel, that I'd agree to therapy, that I'd be the good husband who swallowed his pride and stayed. Instead, 2 days later, she walked through the door to find divorce papers waiting for her on the kitchen table. You're joking, she scoffed, arms folded, smug as ever. No, I said evenly. I want you out by the end of the week. Her smirk faltered. Then came the tears, the excuses, the desperate attempts at manipulation. I made a mistake, she pleaded. You can't just erase our family over this. But I wasn't listening. Jenna and Brooke didn't take it seriously until I called them over. We sat across from each other, the air thick with unspoken tension. My voice was calm, but inside, I was already gone. I'm done, I said simply. With her. With you both. You made your choice. Now live with it. For the first time, I saw real fear flicker in their eyes. Dad, Jenna whispered, her voice trembling. You don't mean that. I do. I slid an envelope across the table. I'm changing my will. You get nothing. Brooke let out a nervous laugh. You can't be serious. We're your daughters. No, I said, meeting their eyes with a gaze as cold as steel. You're her daughters. You made that clear. Lisa panicked then. Maybe she thought I'd forgive and forget. Maybe she assumed that, in the end, family would always win. But betrayal comes with a price, and I was done paying it at the cost of my dignity. The divorce was swift. I had all the evidence I needed, and Lisa walked away with next to nothing. And Patrick. He didn't stick around for long. Turns out, he enjoyed seducing married women, but committing to them? That was never part of the deal. As for Jenna and Brooke, they still called. They still texted. They begged, pleaded, cried. They wanted their father back. But the man they knew, the man who had once loved them unconditionally, was gone. I left it all behind, the betrayal, the pain, the ghosts of the past, and started over in a new city, far from the wreckage of the life I once knew. Rebuilding wasn't easy, but every brick, every step forward, was mine alone. In time, I found love again with Claire, a woman who had her own scars, her own battles. We understood each other in a way that needed no words. There were no secrets between us, no pretense, just two people trying to heal, to move forward, to build something real. Years passed. My new home was smaller, quieter, but it belonged to me and no one else. There were no lingering shadows, no whispers of betrayal in its walls. It was peaceful. It was enough. And then, one evening, as Claire and I sat on the back porch watching the sunset, my phone buzzed. I barely glanced at the screen before silencing it. Jenna. Again. She and Brooke had spent years trying to reach me, angry voicemails, tearful apologies, desperate attempts to guilt me into letting them back in. We're family, they would say. Can't we just move on? But I never responded. Some betrayals cut too deep, and no amount of time could stitch the wound closed. Then came the knock at my door. My body stiffened. No one ever just showed up here. Claire placed a gentle hand on my arm, her eyes searching mine. You okay? I forced a nod. I will be. When I opened the door, Jenna stood there, looking nothing like the defiant young woman I had last seen. She looked small, worn down, a woman on the verge of collapse. Dad, she whispered. For the first time since that night, I saw something real in her eyes. Not anger. Not entitlement. Just regret. I know you don't want to see me, she said, voice unsteady. But please, let me explain. I considered closing the door in her face. After all these years, what could she possibly say that would change anything? But something in me, maybe curiosity, maybe some faint echo of fatherly instinct, stepped aside and let her in. Claire gave me a small nod before retreating to the other room, leaving Jenna and me alone. She hesitated as she looked around, taking in the home she had never been invited to. I gestured for her to sit, but she remained standing, shifting uncomfortably. You look good, she said. I said nothing. She sighed. I guess I deserve that. A long silence stretched between us before she finally spoke the words I never thought I'd hear. You were right to cut us off. I stared at her, waiting. She swallowed hard. When we defended Mom, we thought we were protecting our family, she admitted. But really, we were just protecting her choices. Even when we knew they were wrong. She shook her head, staring at the floor. She never even loved Patrick. It was just excitement. A thrill. And when you left, when she realized she lost the only man who had ever truly loved her, she spiraled. And Brooke and I. She hesitated. Go on, I said, my voice steady. She exhaled. Brooke still thinks you were being dramatic. She won't admit she was wrong. But me. Her voice cracked. I lost everything that day. You weren't just my dad. You were my hero. And I destroyed that for a woman who didn't deserve it. The weight of her words filled the room. I studied her, trying to see past the years of resentment, past the scars left behind. Finally, I spoke. I don't hate you, Jenna. She blinked, a tear slipping down her cheek. But I don't know if I can forgive you. She nodded, wiping at her face. I don't expect you to. But I needed you to know. I regret it. Every single day. I looked down at my hands, feeling something shift inside me. Not anger. Not bitterness. Just exhaustion. Maybe, just maybe, the door wasn't completely shut. But it wouldn't be easy. And I wouldn't be the one chasing after them anymore. After Jenna left, Claire returned, settling beside me on the couch. She didn't press, didn't pry. She simply took my hand in hers, grounding me. How do you feel? She asked softly. I let out a slow breath, staring at the door where my daughter had walked out. Like the past finally caught up to me. She squeezed my hand, and I turned to her, to the life I had rebuilt from the ruins of the old one. It's not my burden to carry anymore. They had to make their peace. I had already found mine. And for the first time in a long, long time, I felt free.